In today's video, I want to share with you some of the items that have sold recently from just around our house. If you're new to reselling, I would encourage you truly to shop your house first. You'd be surprised at the things that you have sitting around that someone else wants. And I also want to share a sincere thank you for the comments on my last video, and we'll get into that as well. So let's get started. So I want to start out this video by saying I've been selling for going on 8 years. And in that time, we have sold so many things from our home. These are just recent solds, and I want to share them with you to encourage you. If you're wanting to get into reselling, shop your home first. So I'm going to pop up a screenshot of all of these items so that you can get a feel for what types of things sell. First up are these cassette tapes. Who wants cassette tapes anymore? These are hunting cassette tapes and sold for $25. This vintage ring that my husband's father had. We have so many items that have come from our parents and our children and ourselves. So if you're our age, my age, in your 60s, my husband's close to 70, you've accumulated a lot of things. Reselling has given us an opportunity to downsize like never before. So this ring was my father-in-law's. Next up is this opal house little vase. I purchased this at Target when we had moved my mom to memory care. And there are things in our home now that just remind me of those times, and it was time for me to get rid of that. This Missoni for Target bag, I purchased this for myself at a thrift store many years ago and carried it, and had gone through my closet recently and pulled this one out. This tie tack pin, again, my father-in-law's. And I wonder, who and why, but before you throw things out, make sure you take a peek at eBay and Poshmark. Make sure that you can't sell them. This scrapbook, this I purchased years ago when I was actually scrapbooking, and someone else still wanted it. I talked about these in a recent video. These were my grandmother's. I had a dozen of them. I sold 9, and recently I just sold 3 little purple cups. This Brian Urlacher jersey was my son's. There were things, and still are a few things, that I couldn't part with. And some of these items, like this jersey, has been for sale for a very long time. But this was just in our basement storage room in a box with his name labeled, and I think it was time to let it go. These wildlife prints were my mother and father-in-law's. Like I said, we inherited a lot of their things. It literally got dumped in our garage when houses were being cleaned out. And so during COVID, we began the task of downsizing and looking through and purging. We had also picked up one of those bagsters. I don't know if you're familiar with those. They look like a huge IKEA bag. We picked up a couple of those when our son and daughter-in-law moved in for a while. We needed to purge our basement. So a lot of the items were found in little basement nooks and crannies. And we started to purge, and I started to find a lot of inventory in our home. On our way to that $1,000 just sitting in our home, this little Limax plug, my mother used to have all of those Department 56 houses up high on a shelf in her family room. And I sold all of those little houses and parted them out, and have been selling the pieces separately as well. This Cutco knife block was ours, and redid our knife collection and parted out the knives and the knife block. I've referred to them as cake toppers. They were on the tops of our kids' trophies. You know how you inherit all those trophies? Your kids win first place, second place, third place, consolation. 2 boys, sports, 3 different sports all the time. And during COVID, I purged all of that away. I took the bases off, and the nameplate on the bases, I'm saying off. Some of those bases were marble. And these tops were on the bottoms of just plastic bases, and I unscrewed them, and I thought someone might want those for crafts. So they did. You can see in this next slide where little things start, like I said, start to add up. I like to lot things, meaning put them in groups. These were tie pins, tie tacks of my father-in-law's. This next slide is suspenders. My husband used to work at a corporate job and had a lot of nice shirts and suits and suspenders, and the silk ones that have the leather ends and the tabs, not the clip ones, but the tabs. Sold a lot of suspenders, and I pick up a lot of suspenders that I see like that when I'm out thrifting. And this charm, I had a charm bracelet when I was a little girl, and I took it apart. I sold the charm bracelet separately, and I have been selling off the little individual sterling silver charms one by one off of that bracelet. It was just sitting in my jewelry box, and I'm never going to wear a charm bracelet again. My husband is a hunter, and these binoculars, there's so much hunting gear in our midst. Even now, he isn't hunting as much, but these binoculars we found in our home and sold those. This little baseball mitt, our kids played baseball growing up, and this held a little uh, baseball and was in their rooms. That one we let go of. This next one, a little bit larger sale, but look in your closet. Are you really wearing those things and those items? And someone else may want them. So truly, this is an example of a really nice sale that we made. This cute little notepad I found in my mom's belongings when we cleaned out her place. The pink I knew would be, people would like the pink color, and labeled it mid-century, and that one recently sold. This Flip Saunders basketball didn't even hold air. You have to disclose those kind of things. We said it's more of a memento than it is an actual ball that you can bounce, but that one was in our garage, just deflated. This North American hunting pocket knife, my husband had a lot of them. And so on eBay, you can make one listing, and you can as well on Poshmark, but on eBay, I made one listing and just put the quantity down. And so one by one, these have been selling. These earrings, these little cute little earrings, my mom went through her jewelry box. And I'm an only child, so when we were struggling to make sure she was well cared for during COVID, that's one part. I was all by myself, but then the remainder of her belongings came to me, which had its trials and tribulations. But because I was a reseller and she had some lovely trinkets, I was able to find and turn around and give those things to new, good homes. So these earrings were found in her jewelry box. This Michael Kors scarf was mine. I collect scarves. I have a lot of scarves. And that one I just wasn't wearing anymore. So I shopped my own closet. This UGG bag, I took this UGG bag back and forth when I was working every single day. I picked it up at a church rummage sale and for a fill-a-bag sale. And this one had been mine for many, many years, and flipped that one. This bat, we have a lot of baseball equipment as well. And so we have been selling off golf clubs and bats and cleats and mitts and all of the things. This Diane von Furstenberg bag I had had for years, and actually used it kind of as a travel bag back and forth. This one was in my basement storage room. This little cute vintage pin cushion, I sold my mom's sewing basket and then lotted up some of the little trinkets inside, and then sold separately some of those cute little pin cushions. I thought that this one was really adorable. This set of teak serveware was mine. I don't use things like that so much anymore. And when our kids moved home for a while, I went through every drawer that I could when I had that bagster outside, and discovered these and realized I could definitely sell those. Years ago, I had 3 Christmas trees, one on every level of our home. One was designed, I'd had my kids make handmade ornaments for me every year, and it was filled with years of handmade ornaments. One was in our basement, and it had outdoor theme. We don't have a Minnesota cabin, but our basement is decorated more like a cabin and rustic. And we had a tree that was rustic. And then I had on our main floor a really girly tree, I would call it. It was crystal and colorful, and one by one by one, I have started to sell off all of those ornaments. Now I went much more in keeping with just a traditional Christmas theme, and it's all red and white and green. And I went back to that, and I'm starting to collect those ornaments. And coming up on the last couple, this one was bug gear, something. When you sit in a tree, I guess, I'm not sure. But in the Grand Purge, this one was discovered as well and sold. And then with my husband, he had so many ties. And yes, you can sit on ties and sell them one by one by one. But I find that if you have them or find them at the bins, put them together, people either want to buy them to resell or they're just starting out and need ties. But I've had much more success selling them in a group. And now, my sincere thank you. My last video was about being bullied since I've had my channel. And I've had some interesting comments, and I shared those and talked about that in my last video. And you came out in force, and boy, were you supportive. And I wasn't expecting that. It was such a lovely thing to read comments from people who really wanted to take the time and tell me that I'm doing okay. And you know what? That was really, really nice of you. I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. So I want to encourage you to shop your home. You might not have a 3-level home with all sorts of inherited, or donated items. We had these items from our own parents, our children, ourselves. You may not have quite the plethora of items that we have in our home, and a lot of times I wish we didn't have in our home, but we were able to shop our house during COVID, which was such a blessing. Gave us both something to do and a way to make money, additional money during COVID. This hobby of mine is really what I love to do now that I'm retired. And not only do I shop the Goodwill bins and church rummage sales, but I also continually shop our home. So before you go out and buy a lot of inventory, open those drawers, open those closets, check in those cupboards, check in that basement corner, check out in your garage, and make sure you look at a place like eBay, because eBay is king for selling just about anything. And don't check what people are selling the item for. Make sure you go and look at what the item sold for. And you don't want to be the highest. I would say if 10 of them are there ranging from $20 to $10, if you're like me and you shop from you sort from lowest to highest, you want to be on that first page of people looking. You want your photos crisp, you want to have a good reputation as a reseller, you want to be honest in your listings, you want to disclose any flaws, and you want to price it competitively, because otherwise you're just going to turn into a storage unit. There are times I'll absolutely hold on to things, especially things that of my mom's or Brian's parents that really do, I believe, have value. There's other things you're just wanting to flip and take some money for. And it's pretty impressive what $10 and $15 and $20 items. Now, of course, eBay takes their fee, Poshmark takes their fee, but if you can see that you can make a lot of money just by looking around your home.